football on the weekend? Okay. My husband loves to watch football, and he really loves to have chili while he's watching his football. So I went to the grocery store, and I was going to make taco chili. You ever had that? It's really good. And I bought all the ingredients that you would need to buy taco chili. I thought I bought all the ingredients. And I got home, I started mixing it all together, and it smelled so good in the kitchen. Jason even came in, and he was so excited because it just smelled like some really good chili. And I went to go get the meat, which is the most important ingredient in chili, right? I went to go get the meat out of the refrigerator so that I could cook the meat and put it in the chili, and I forgot to buy the meat. I was so frustrated. Why was I so frustrated?
Because it's hard work.
Yeah. And can you really have chili without meat?
No.
I mean, like, that's the main ingredient to chili, right? I was so frustrated, and I was so disappointed that I just put all my cooking utensils down, and I went and got my cell phone, and I called Papa John's, and I ordered pizza, because we needed to have something to eat, and clearly we were not going to have chili, right? So, while I was waiting for the pizza delivery guy to come to the house, I picked up a book and I started reading. Do you guys do that when you have extra time? Yeah. So I started reading, and I was reading this very exciting book, and it got to a part in the story where a family had gone on a ski trip. And they were, have you ever been skiing before? I didn't go skiing until I was much older. And this is like snow skiing, not skiing on the water. Okay? So to get to the top of the mountain so that you can ski down on your skis, you have to ride up on this ski lift. Okay, so they got to this part in the story where this family gets on this ski lift, and they're sitting in their little skis, and they're riding up the ski lift so that they can slide down the mountain. Well, as they were riding up the ski lift, the mountain started to shake. And all of a sudden, an explosion came out of the top of the mountain. It was a dormant volcano that had not done anything for years and years and years, and it had finally erupted. And the family was terrified. It was a very adventurous part of the story as to what they were going to do to save themselves. Well, I didn't get to finish the chapter. That was all that I got to because the doorbell rang and the pizza guy was there. So I go get the pizza, and while I was pulling the pizza out of the box, I was telling Jason, I was like, you're not going to believe the story that I was reading? It was so exciting. There was this family, and they were riding, and all of a sudden, the mountain started shaking, and it exploded because it was a volcano. And he looked at me so crazy. Like, that was not a very exciting story to him. Now, did I leave something out when I was telling you?
Yes.
I did? What did I leave out?
That they were trying to.
I left out the part that they were on the mountain, right? I just said that they were riding. What do you think he thought I was talking about when I said they were riding? Oh, you think writing? The family was actually writing and a mountain exploded? Or could it have been that they were just riding in a car and it was no big deal, right? I left out the key part that they were on the mountain, right? Well, this got me to thinking. If you leave out a really important part of a story, the story doesn't make sense anymore, does it? Kind of like with that chili. If you leave out the main ingredient, it's not really chili anymore, is it? It's not really the same thing. It really kind of changes things. So, it got me to thinking about the main idea of stories. And how if you leave something out of the story that's the most important part of the story, it's kind of like cooking chili without the meat. You've left the whole important part out of the story. So we're going to talk today about main idea. And I thought there's really no better time to talk about this than this week because, a few weeks ago we figured out the main idea of what's called expository text, which was when it was just reading informational passages. And you guys did a pretty good job at figuring out the main idea. But this week, we're reading folk tales. And we're going to figure out the main idea or the theme of a folk tale. And so I thought, there's no better time to talk about main idea and theme than right now after I made this big huge mistake this weekend with leaving out the main part and the most important part. So I wanted you guys to have a better understanding so that you won't make the same kind of mistakes that I make and leave out those most important parts. So I have a chart here that says, what's the big idea? We're talking about the main idea. And this is not the first time for us to talk about it. We've talked about this some more. So just tell me, what are some of your thoughts of what a main idea is? Tell us one, Mia. Okay. I'm going to put the main part. I love that. The main part of the story. What else? Oh, important. Okay. What do you think of when you think about the main idea? What do you think about, Zamari? Okay. Is it information? Got something else? Okay.
Like,
Oh my goodness. I love so much that you just said the words most important. Are you okay if I use your words and I add a little bit to it? Okay. I'm going to put what Asher says here, which is most important, but I'm going to add to it. I'm going to add, it's the most important idea the author wants you to walk away. What do you think I mean when I say the most important idea that the author wants you to walk away with? Do you think I mean literally like put on your shoes and walk away from the story? Okay, what do you think I mean then, Ellen, when I say the most important idea for you to go over it? What do you think?
to walk away with it in your hand.
Oh my goodness. To stick with you, right? When I say it's the most important idea, I love your words, the most important idea for you to walk away with. It's the most important idea for you to stick with in your head and for you to remember from that particular passage. You know, we talked about, when we talked about main idea a few weeks ago, that it's like one sentence that you can sum up the whole story with and you tell the most important part. Do you have to include every single little detail when you're telling the main idea? You don't. You just tell the most important part there. The rest of it is just little details to go along with it. What are you thinking?
I was thinking, like, when you're done with the story, you'll know about the story.
That's right. When you're finished with the story, you have a big gist of the story, so you know. And if let's just say you were reading a book and you wanted to encourage someone else to read that book, but they said, well, what's it about? And you only had a short time to tell them. If you told them the main idea, would that give them a good idea of what the story is about? Absolutely. So this is really helping us to understand what the main idea is. The main part, the important part, the most important. I love that. I think you kind of culminated there what the whole main idea is. Okay, well then let me ask you a question. What happens if the main idea is left out? What happens if it's not included? What happens then, Jocelyn? Think about that for just a moment. I'll come back to you, okay? What happens when the most important part is left out? Okay. Oh, okay. Does it change the story? It does, doesn't it? It changes the story. Think about when I was telling that story to Jason and I left out the part about them going up the mountain and left that part out. He was very what?
Confused.
He was very confused. So when the main idea is left out, it's confusing. Very good. What else? Yeah, you don't know what's going on, right? So you don't know.
I don't know what it is.
Okay, are we in agreement that the main idea is important? We are in agreement. Are we in agreement that it's the most important idea of this story? Yeah, it's the part that the author really wants you to take with you, that wants you to walk away with, and wants you to have a good understanding of that. Yes, sir. You won't get the real part. That's it. If the main idea was not there, all you would get of the story is details. You wouldn't get any other kind of information from that. Okay. Oh my goodness. What is it? Okay. So we are going to do an activity today where we're going to read a story and we're going to pull out the main idea. But I thought, what better kind of story to use than a folk tale, since we're talking about folk tales this week. And we kind of learned this morning that a folk tale's main idea is referred to as a theme, right? And is it oftentimes a lesson that the author wants you to walk away with, that the author wants you to learn from that particular story? Well, I found a really fun little folk tale. It's called The Crow and the Pitcher. So you've heard it before? Okay. Well, I did put you a little picture there at the top. Do you know what a crow is?
It's like a blackbird.
It's a black bird. And they do like to eat corn. You are exactly right. Now, this is called The Crow and the Pitcher, and it is Pitcher. So this is not like a pitcher in baseball who throws the ball. This is not like a picture that you can take with a camera. It's not like a picture that you draw. This is a pitcher, like a jar that you would put water in or tea in, some kind of liquid in. So do you understand what I mean when I say the crow and the pitcher? Now that we've cleared up that word, I want you to take your finger. I want you to drop your finger down there with me at the very beginning. I'm going to read this story to you, and I want you to just kind of pay attention and get the gist of this story as I read, because do you need to understand the gist of the story to be able to figure out the main idea? Yes. So let's just read through one time to get the gist of the story. If you'll just follow along while I read for you. I love those fingers ready, okay? A crow, half dead with thirst, came upon a pitcher, which had once been full of water. But when the crow put its beak into the mouth of the pitcher, he found that only very little water was left in it, and he could not reach far enough down to get it. He tried and he tried, but at last he had to give up in despair. Then a thought came to him, and he took a pebble and he dropped it into the pitcher. Then he took another pebble and he dropped it into the pitcher. Then he took another pebble and he dropped it into the pitcher. And he took another pebble and he dropped that into the pitcher. Do you have a good visual of what's going on here? Okay, so we have this jar, this pitcher. It has some water in it, but it is not full, right? Can the crow reach the water? No. So he's dropping pebbles into it. What is that going to cause the water level? You think so? Okay, so do you think that's what the crow is doing? Let's finish it up. Then he took another pebble and dropped that into the pitcher. Then he took another pebble and he dropped that into the pitcher. At last, he saw the water mount up near him. And after casting in a few more pebbles, he was able to quench his thirst and save his life. And it says the moral of the Aesop fable is little by little does the trick. You know, there was a lot of exciting parts in this story. First we have the crow. He's thirsty. He needs something to drink, so he's putting pebbles into the container. Would you agree there was a lot of exciting parts in this story? Well, let me write down a sentence here. The crow was very thirsty. Crow was very thirsty. What do you think about my main idea sentence here? Do you think that's enough? No? Not sure? You know, I want you to talk with your partner sitting next to you. I want you to talk with your partner sitting next to you about what would be a better main idea. Since you don't really like this as enough of a main idea, talk to your partner about what you think would be a better main idea. So y'all go ahead and share with one another. What do you guys think there? Yeah, I think would be a better main idea. All right. Hey, what I just heard Mia say is Mia pretty much just gave me a summary of the story. She said the crow came upon a pitcher of water. He was very thirsty. He couldn't reach the water, so he started filling it up with pebbles until the water level was high enough for him to get enough to drink. I like that, but that's what I would consider a summary, where she kind of told me the whole story. Did she include pretty much a lot of the details there in this story? Well, what if I wanted you to tell me one statement, one thing that you think the author wants us to walk away with from this story? Maybe it's like the big lesson for us to learn here, or the big idea. Talk with your partner some more about what do you think is the big idea the author wants us to walk away with. And can you solve it just all at one time? Do you have to do it a little bit at a time? Did he have to do more work to get what he needed? Good, very good. Okay, so what are you thinking now? Clearly, the crow was very thirsty. Was not enough, right? Little by little does the trick. Okay, you talked a little farther than that with Kevin, so tell me what you were thinking, Asher.
If you can't solve a problem, you have to keep on trying.
Did the crow have a problem? Did he have to keep working at it and keep working? He didn't just put in one pebble and it was fixed, right?
No.
What did he have to do? He had to keep. That's right. He had to keep putting pebbles and keep putting pebbles in. And then all of a sudden, it had filled up for him. So I'm going to kind of take both of your answers here, and I'm going to put here, let's see, hard work. Or maybe if I put it takes. What if I put it takes hard work to solve a problem? What do you guys think about that? Does that feel like a better main idea statement? Do you think that's the most important idea that the author wants us to walk away with from this story? If you were to go tell your friends about this story, could you tell them, you know, I learned a lesson from this story. I learned that the more you work, the harder you work, the more results you'll have to pay off with your problem. So we know that the theme or the main idea is the most important idea that the author wants you to walk away with from this story. Okay. So if I go back and say, what is the main idea? What would you say that the main idea is? What would you say the main idea or the theme of a folktale? What is it? I know you know, I know you know. I need to think for just a moment. What is the main idea? Just in general, what does the word main idea mean? Lock it in when you have a good idea. Taking some good notes up here. Main idea. What is main idea? What is main idea, Jocelyn? What is main idea, Zamaria says important, the important part. You're agreeing? Anybody want to give a Me Too signal? Agree with that? Anybody want to add to it? What would you like to add to that, Kevin? Okay, so what is the main idea of the story? She says it's the important part. How would you describe the main idea? I do
The
that.
main part.
The main part. Could we say the most important part that the author wants you to walk away with? In a folk tale like this one, can it be the lesson for you to learn? Absolutely, it can be the lesson for you to learn. Well, guess what? I got some books here that are full of folk tales. Matter of fact, if you open up to the table of contents here, this is called Forest Tales from Far and Wide. If you open up to the table of contents, you can see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different folk tales in this story. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you work with a partner, and you're going to go and read one of these stories that I'm going to assign to you. And when you are finished reading, then I want you to take this paper. I want you to turn it over to the blank side, and I want you to write what you think the main idea that the author wants you to walk away with. Could it be the lesson? Yeah. If we're talking about main idea and theme of a folktale being the most important idea the author wants you to walk away with, okay? So you're going to write that when you think. You got to read the story first. Do you need to be able to summarize the story? Sure. And then jot your main idea down here, okay? Once you jot it down, you know how I want you to turn it into me? I want you to go log into your Edmodo. I want you to send me a note on Edmodo. You just type a note, remember it goes public, and I just want you to type in your main idea to me on Edmodo.
So you just write it and then kind of like a draft and then.
That's it. It's kind of like a draft, and then you're going to type it. That's exactly right. Do you have any questions? I think you just need to know what book you're reading, right? Yes, ma'am. Question? Huh? You just send a message at the very top. Mhm. Separate. Yeah, I want you to both log in to do it. Great question there. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to give, I have lots of favorites in here. I'm going to let you two guys do, since we read about Turtle and Anansi this morning, why don't you read about Turtle and Monkey Share a Tree? Oh my goodness, then, well, which one did you do last? Not sure? Well, then why don't we do the Baboon and the Bees? Okay? So you two guys are going to go sit together, read the Baboon and the Bees, take a paper with you, because you want to figure out the most important idea the author wants you to walk away with. So there's you one, and here's you one. Okay, girls, which one did you do last time we read? Okay. Did you do Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Why don't you two first go read Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and you want to figure out what is the most important idea that the author wants you to walk away with, okay? So there's you one,
I didn't even know you
and
were
there's you one, so y'all go sit side by side to read that. And why don't we do The Wolf and the Seven Kings, okay?
You ready, Mommy? You ready?
So, we're going to read, and I'm going to read with you guys, okay, just to make sure that we have the gist of the story. And when we're finished, I want you to figure out what is the most important idea that the author wants you to walk away with. So let's go ahead and find that story first, and I'll be right back to read with you, okay?
Give me the first page.